G'day, everybody. Alabar Jones here. Um, Coming to tell you some news, maybe. Weird statement, I agree. But you are probably familiar with our team. We've set ourselves the objective of destroying demonkind, and we've had mixed success. To great frustration from both sides, like neither of us can seem to deliver a killing blow. And for us, it's because of knowledge. For them, because of their strength. They don't have the strength to put us down. And for us, we don't understand how they keep damn well reviving themselves. We've been very perplexed by that. Over several years, you would have seen a bunch of videos of ours saying, we've defeated the god of alcohol, we've defeated Lucifer. And then like a month later, they're back in action. And, we're just as baffled as you are by what's going on. Or yes and no. So today's mission, well, the description that we're starting with is a chain of missions now, and it started on the 8th of the 8th on the Lion's Gate portal. So anyway, here we go. And so the story starts with this YouTuber, a guy who, of all the names he picked Morgue. If Morgue Official. Now, if you're not familiar with the word morgue, if it's the place where the state puts dead people until their family comes and claims them. That's the name he's chosen. And he's a dark priest. His training is obviously that of a dark priest. His knowledge of Kabbalah is very deep, which is another big sign that he did training with either the Rosicrucians or the Freemasons. And every time he tells a story of mystical value, he gets the good guys and the bad guys mixed up, which just tells you he's actually batting for the wrong team. He's an anti-humanist. He's a misanthrope. So be careful about what you listen to from him. My favorite video of his is Jesus was the Antichrist. Like, how messed up can you be about the story? But it's only because he's batting for the wrong team. Though he does share useful technical information about Kabbalah and dark Kabbalah. And, there is a whole evil side to Kabbalah. There is a tree of life and there's a tree of death. And it's the tree of death that gave us the list. Just clarified, everything solidified when we got this list. This is a map of dark Kabbalah and the gods that firstly, all the names are in the wrong positions. And this is on purpose because the point of the exercise is to not let outsiders read or understand this material or use it. So they place different information in different places. And if you download 10 versions of the Tree of Life, you'll see 10 different maps of the Tree of Life. Why? Because they're hiding this data. So that, if the books get captured, then the other wizards can't use them because 2 or 3 pieces of the puzzle, 2 or 3 parts of the machine are in the wrong place and don't work. Anyway, without too much drama in that, he gave us this list. And this list, who they want, or the character of the demon is the character they want expressed in Western culture. So they want Western culture to look like the Tree of Death. And they've been fairly successful without being funny about it. And there's a whole nother video in what that looks like, what that's about. But this list tells us who the key players in demonkind are. And so for the Lion's Gate on the 8th of the 8th, when where all the winds in humanity sails, that's where we decided to take that executive, those 11, and a couple of others to a galactic court for their crimes. Now, you may have seen this with our Lucifer video, where we took him to court, and his original mass is probably about 4 or 5% of what his current mass, or what his mass was at the time. Because what he'd been doing is he'd been stealing from all of the humans. I want his guts, I want his daring, I want his intelligence, I want his deception, I want his da 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 da. And he just built himself into, you know, 20 times or 25 times his original mass based on what he could steal. Now, what we did was all of these demon lords, we put them through the same process where the bits of other people where they had claimed were returned to their original owners. And these guys all looked like absolute skeletons. And then we started looking at their crimes against humanity, and all of them were disintegrated. Now, this is a story we've been through before, and it's frustrating because they have something that's best described as a Horcrux. They have a little piece of themselves somewhere, maybe dozens of them, little pieces of themselves somewhere, specifically to allow themselves to revive themselves again, so that their blueprint is still existent, and they can be rebuilt. Very frustrating because, once you kill them, they don't stay dead. And, nobody's told us the secrets of how to make them dead, double dead. So from all this, we did everything we could, but we did have one extra piece of data, all right, one extra lead to follow. And in my personal practice, I was dealing with Al Ghul, or the god of alcohol. And for those of you who know my work, he and I have a very bizarre relationship, me and the god of alcohol. But what he asked me to do was to euthanize him. And I said, look, you're going to have to tell me something fresh. And what he showed me was the original records, the original blueprints that all of these demons were built from. And yes, every single one is built. Don't let anybody tell you that they're a natural part of our matrix. They are fucking not. And so the whole story of the balance between good and evil is also garbage. Here's that story. I called it Calling Out Metatron. Again, another side research project, which I'm sure you'll enjoy. On the moon, they have a room in which they have a jukebox, or a jukebox looking thing, right? And on each disc in the jukebox is the blueprints for how to build a demon, say, for anger or despair or sadness or jealousy or what have you. There were some that have been mothballed. This particular one was obsolete. And why? Well, because as society changes, as our culture changes, they've been designing demons to fit the gaps in our culture. And I want you to, and I've also got a video by the seven deadly sin, lust, and her talking about how she was made for, a Victorian era to get married people to sleep together. But she's no longer strong enough to fight in today's sexual landscape. There's another demon who does this, or Lilith, her proper name would be Pistis Sophia, but the arm of herself that she used best is Lilith, who's on this list. But we found the master blueprints for all of these guys, which we also destroyed. So, on August 9, after the Lionsgate's portal, we're looking around going, are they coming back this time or not? Like, what have they got? And within a week, 9 out of 12 of the deities that we had destroyed came back. And so, there's two things we think are going on here. One is that each of them has their own individual stash of Horcruxes. So, they've stashed, what do you call them? If you were a computer, it'd be called a revival disk or a save disk, or in case of emergency, in case the system goes down, you have a diskette to reboot. Well, that's what this was. So they're using those. And I think they've stashed a few of them around, but really getting into this question, I looked at it, and there are a number of overlays over the earth that say the existence of this being is okay. They need a special, it's like somebody rolled out a red carpet for them because they're not welcome unless there's a specific invitation. And that specific invitation looks like a field around the earth. Well, I took down about 40 of those that were clustered around allowing demons into this space. And since then, they have revived themselves, but they can't get into Earth. And so we looked at this again 10 days later on the 18th, and this is the answer we came up with, is what we got. And oh, and we're watching them sort of peeking over the windowsill, trying to get into the house, but they can't. They can't get in because the environment is now entirely caustic to them. So it's, I love to say we killed the demonic elite, we killed the executive, we killed the masters of that group. And that would be great reason to rejoice. But we have like a conditional victory, I think is probably the best way to put it. They're still alive, they're just having all the world of trouble getting back into our planet. And our group is going to try and make sure that they never do. And working off the back of the knowledge that we've acquired in these recent actions, hopefully all of demonkind can get the hell out of here. Because, God, we're all sick to death of them. We're all sick to death of them possessing our politicians, possessing our elites, and running the world for their off-world masters, managing the world, not for us humans, but for somebody else. It's quite clear that our politicians don't work for us. And so there's only a small number of candidates of groups that they could be working for. And what you're looking at with the Great Nothing is the great subverter of planets. And so all those politicians, I always keep asking myself the question, what is the correct price to sell out your species? And I can't think of anything that I'd want to sell out my species. But they can. So that's why they're recruited, not for their skill, not for their knowledge, not for their honor, but for their capacity to fucking lie through their teeth constantly all day. There's nothing sacred about them. And so therefore, if nothing's sacred, nothing is valued. If nothing's valued, everything's trash and everything's destroyable. And that's why we're living in the world we're in, because they don't care. They don't care about anything but themselves. And that is because they have sold their souls. And what they're getting for it, I don't think it's a good deal. But what I'm hoping so dearly is that in the absence of their demonic helpers and their demons who prop these idiots up, that we're going to start to see a little bit of friction or a little bit of structural damage to the entire edifice of politics and rulership. We want to see that whole thing start to come apart because it needs a rejig. It needs in my honest opinion. But I don't think there's any amount of reform that you can apply to people who defend characters like Jeffrey Epstein or the Clintons. There's just nobody. There's nothing you can do with them. There's no amount of recovery or rehab that'll make them into good people who care about you or me. I'm kind of rambling a little bit. I'm a little bit off topic, but it's a tentatively excited moment. We may have pushed the demonic executive off world. And if we are successful with that, then we can definitely push the rest of them off. Anyway. Look, there's more to say on this, and I'll keep you updated. But for now, my love to you all and farewell. And may the force be with you. Yep. Like and subscribe. If you want to see what else we're doing, check out theearthguard.org. It's my membership site. There's plenty in there that you'll enjoy, and you'll get to meet the team too. Also, click through to my website and you'll learn about my trainings, which are quite extensive, the point of which is to recruit you into astral projection groups, which are going to be managing the energetics of the earth for the next period, whatever comes next. And, if we don't do it, some other mob, be they reptilian or otherwise, are going to show up and do it for us. So we better master these skills pronto. And our team is constantly on, with our head under the bonnet, you know, face to face, hands on this material. So we're learning very, very quickly what's going on there. Yeah. Anyway, plenty of good things to do. Like and subscribe to the video. I'm sure there's more exciting stuff that you'll enjoy. All right. My love to you. Bye for now.